thought it was on both sides.
Hello, everyone. It's really nice to see all you here. My name is Yulia Smolin. I'm a workshop coordinator for the conference, and it's my pleasure to start the first Dean's panel of the day. So we'll begin with Dean Stevenson. She'll introduce herself, and then we'll go down the line, and we'll begin with the questions.
Okay, good morning. My name is Lisa Stevenson. I'm an assistant dean for admissions and director of diversity programs at Washington University School of Medicine. And we're located in St. Louis, Missouri. And is there anything else you wanted, or just, is that a start?
If that's all I'd like.
Okay.
So good morning. My name is Neil Schiller. I'm the Senior Associate Dean for Student Affairs at the newest University of California School of Medicine in Riverside, California. We're very excited to be here today, and we're going to be recruiting our very first class of 50 students to enter in fall 2013, so we're looking for you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. George Rauch, and contrary to what it says on the card, if you can read that, I am not an MD. I have an EDD. I am the Associate Dean for Diversity Affairs at Indiana University School of Medicine. Now, most people think that the medical school is located in Bloomington, where the main campus is. It is not. We are in Indianapolis. We are one medical school, and we have 9 campuses. We have a belief at IU, and that belief is the Indiana University School of Medicine family, where diversity is an everyday reality.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Mitch Heiseroth, and I am not a dean. I am a DO. I'm a clinical physician. I'm an associate professor at Touro University, College of Osteopathic Medicine here in the Bay Area. And I really want to congratulate you all for being here and also having the curiosity to actually become aware of what it means to become a physician.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Theodore Hall. I am the Assistant Dean of Admissions at the David Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA. And I'd like to welcome all of you here and say good morning to you as well. Our mission is to create leaders in academic medicine as well as community and research practice of medicine as well.
Good morning. My name is Hy Doyle. I am the Executive Director of UCLA Prime. First, I'd just like to thank Jubin and the American River College Group, UC Davis, and the AMSA Group. Could we get a round of applause for the work they've done? The state of California is the only state in the country that, as medical schools were increasing, decided that the increase in medical school population would be targeted to disadvantaged and underserved communities. Each UC school has a prime program, and they focus on different things. San Francisco on urban underserved, Davis rural, San Diego health equity and border health, Irvine the Latino community, and UCLA focuses on developing leaders for underserved communities. And I'm lucky enough to be the executive director of that program. Thank you.
All right, our first question is for Dean Stevenson. What are some key characteristics successful medical school applicants must have to attend your medical school?
Okay, so can you repeat it one more time for me, please?
What are some key characteristics successful medical applicants must have to attend your medical school?
Okay, great. Well, thanks for the opportunity to speak to you this morning. I'm representing admissions and diversity programs, and our office, the Office of Diversity Programs, is really committed to recruiting a very diverse academic workforce who can, especially the students, can eventually be leaders in a global society. So the way that we get to that is that we look for certain characteristics when we're looking at medical school applicants. We want you to have a strong academic record. We understand that sometimes you can get off to a slow start, and then things build and improve, and we like to see that. We want to make sure that you're well-rounded, which is sometimes an overused term, but we, in addition to having the academic credentials, we would like to see that you are an empathetic individual, that you've been out in the community and trying to help those who are underserved, and that can be in a variety of ways. We also know that some students have to work, especially given these economic times, and that's also something that we look for, and you're not penalized because you're working a tremendous number of hours and you can't perhaps participate in as many extracurricular activities as you would like to do. We also want to make sure that you have a sense of why you want to go into medicine, that you're able to articulate that through the application. And we look at all those things and take into account what your recommenders are writing about you. And then we really get to know you in the interview setting. And that's when we're going to take a look at all those things and also look at your communication skills, because it's very important that you be able to interact with a diverse group of people, particularly your future patient population. So in essence, you really have to have the entire package. And we like variety. You don't have to have a particular major. You can major in whatever you want. If you have to take a few years between college and med school, that's fine too. So we like variety. We also like dedication and a sense of purpose, a sense of helping others.
Thank you, Dean Stevenson. Dr. Schiller, can you add anything?
So, although the University of California at Riverside is brand new, we've been training medical students since 1977 in partnership with UCLA School of Medicine. During this period, we've really learned to understand what types of students make great physicians. We're looking for students who are going to be leaders. We're looking for students who are going to make a difference. We're looking for students who are service-minded. We have a tremendous mission at the University of California, Riverside, and that is essentially to improve the health of the communities that our physicians practice in. We need to train a diverse workforce of physicians. My role, in addition to being Senior Associate Dean of Student Affairs, is also to manage all of our pathway programs, going from K to 12, through the campus, through the bachelor's degree, into the post-baccalaureate programs. We recognize, as Dr. Stevenson said, that some students struggle initially. So we make a holistic review of each file in order to select the very best students for our mission. And that's what drives our admissions committee.
Dean Rauch, would you like to continue the question?
I've been involved in medical education for 37 years. And over that time, I've developed a philosophy of, I guess for lack of a better term, championing the underdog. There are many, many individuals, and I would echo the comments from my previous two colleagues, but there are many individuals who don't have the 4.0 GPA and the 35 MCAT. But they demonstrate an ability to be successful through their work ethic. And I think it was mentioned earlier that we look at individuals who have to work 20, 25 hours a week to support themselves in college, yet they still maintain anywhere from maybe a 3.0 all the way up to a 4.0 average. That says a lot about that individual's dedication and motivation to succeed. So we want to look beyond the MCATs and the GPAs in terms of the individual's work ethic, their exposure to medicine. The interview obviously is very important. It may be the most important or one of the most important things that we look at. This is the opportunity where the individual has an opportunity to talk to us about a lot of things that may not be on the application. I'll leave it at that for now.
Thank you, Dean Rauch. Dr. Hisarodi, this question is for you. What are the goals and visions of your medical school?
Repeat that again?
What are the goals and visions of your medical school?
So, Touro University is a very large educational college system, of which the Touro University College of Osteopathic Medicine was the first campus that they decided to teach medical students. They typically do law and education. So this was a new experience for them. And so we kind of had the opportunity to build it from the ground up. And you know, our mission truly is about the osteopathic profession, which for those of you who are still wondering what that is, this afternoon you'll have an opportunity at the workshops to check that out. And the philosophy of what osteopathy really brings to the table. DOs at this time are 7% of the medical workforce as far as physicians are concerned, and we do 20% of the primary care in the nation. So, you know, our mission really in an osteopathic medical school is to train DOs that are really primary care minded. Now, having said that, if you want to be specialized, surgery, et cetera, that's not a problem. But just know that, you know, the way we select our students and how we train our people, osteopathy and the philosophy behind it is really a primary care orientated, a very much larger holistic way. And so, you know, the mission aspects that were discussed earlier, all those hold, but also we'd say that you really need to have some sense of knowledge about what is osteopathic medicine, and is it the type of medical process or philosophy that really is synergistic with you, and that's what we really try to figure it out. And so the school is really designed around that. We have incredible collegiate work between our primary care physicians that work with us, the basic scientists, and everybody is on board that we're training DOs. And with that, you know, I would say that's our major mission. Now, how that then integrates into the community, obviously with primary care, that's a big deal. So, you know, think about it, and you have to really do some investigation about it, but that's our deal.
Thank you. Dr. Hall, can you let us know how medicine has changed in the past 20 years, or since you were a med student or pre-med?
That's an interesting question. If I had to sum it up, I would say that there's been a larger role maybe played by technology in the development of education of our medical students, as well as in the administration of medicine. I think one of the things that I've noticed most about, I'm a pediatric radiologist by training, and of course my particular subspecialty is impacted greatly by technology. But I do think that we've seen a lot more of that in our classroom situations as well. And when I think about how medicine has changed in that direction, I think that a lot of it has to do with the application of technology to the cure of disease. We've made many advances, I think, in the science of taking care of patients and advancing that science in the laboratories. And I do think that the knowledge that we have gotten from those research activities has definitely translated down to the medical student education level. So mostly what I do think is if I look at our school and how we train our medical students and what we expect them to be able to do in the future, has a lot to do with their ability to educate themselves. We do have a lot of independent learning style in that our classroom situation, our number of classes have decreased the number of hours of lecture time, but we've also increased small group activities. Problem-based learning has become a major component of what we do. And we also expect our students to actually get more from their environment in terms of how they develop in their educational experience and their learning of their knowledge. I usually think of UCLA as a target-rich environment, and there's plenty of opportunities for our medical students to learn outside of the classroom as well as within the classroom.
Thank you, Dr. Hall. Mr. Hyde-Doyle, how does the healthcare law affect medical students and doctors in the future?
How does the healthcare law?
Yeah, the new healthcare law.
We all want to hear the answer to that.
In your opinion.
In my opinion, in my humble opinion, I believe what we're going to see is the development of physicians who respond to a broader range of patients. I think the medical schools through the LCME now are looking at diversity within their programming, within their medical schools as a key component. In fact, they're all being evaluated on that. With the increase in the number of people who are going to be covered by the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare, whichever you'd like to say, it seems to me that the physicians that we develop are going to have to be people who have an openness to diversity, a cultural sensitivity to a wide range of populations, simply because those are the people that they're going to be working with.
Thank you, Mr. Hydro. Our next question. Oh,
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Our next question is for all the deans. We'll start with Dean Stevenson. What is your medical school doing to help increase medical access for the poor?
I think one of the places where we're starting with that is educating our students and getting them to understand that they'll be interacting with a variety of different kinds of patients. And one of the things that we do early on, the first week before classes actually start, for first-year students, is to send them out into the community through a program called the Washington University Medical Plunge, or WUMP, as they refer to it. And it's a week-long exposure to the various public health concerns in St. Louis. So they actually get to go out in the community, see some of the underserved areas, talk to different public health officials in St. Louis. So that's the beginning stages of the education. We also have one or two community clinics that are actually, well, one in particular is actually founded and it's student-run, called the Student Neighborhood Health Center. And that's a free walk-in clinic where first-year students can actually assist the attending physicians there. And again, they get the exposure to folks who are maybe underinsured or have no insurance at all. We also cover some of these issues in a course called the Practice of Medicine for first-year students that goes into the second year. And they learn about some of these various issues. So I think as a start, we work on educating our students who will be future leaders in our society.
We have a question from our live Twitter feed. This question is for Dr. Schiller. Can you please describe the interview process?
So the interview process at the University of California, Riverside School of Medicine will be the multi-mini interview. This is something that's been developed over the last few years. We have 2 years of practice with this as we were partners with UCLA. What this includes is basically 12 stations. Each student will have 2 minutes to review a prompt or vignette, and then have 8 minutes to talk to an interviewer about that specific prompt or vignette. It's a communication, it's a dialogue, it's not a monologue. It's an opportunity to really express your concerns and feelings about this particular issue. And after 8 minutes, you move on to the next station with a different prompt and vignette. And that continues. We're very excited about this particular interview process because our experience with the traditional interview process, sort of a one-on-one, was that we didn't learn a lot more about the individual students than what we had heard through the application process. We felt with the multi-minute interview we could actually probe individuals with different characteristic traits. We could look for things along leadership, along community service issues, along cultural sensitivity issues. And each student is then rated against other students on those individual prompts. We find that the students that are recruited through this process have better communication skills, more leadership skills, more problem-solving skills. This gives us a better insight into the applicant, and is just a part of what we consider, along with the application and the secondary, in making a final decision at choosing our class.
Thank you. This next question is for Dean Rauch. What factors should I consider before delaying my application and pursuing a post-bac?
It's an interesting question. I've had that question a lot from students. I think there are a lot of reasons why you might want to delay your application. Some students don't feel that they're ready for medical school, so they want to take a year off, and that's fine. But I think it's important during that year that you do something that is, for lack of a better term, productive. Just to take a year off doesn't reflect positively in terms of the application process. So if you're going to take a year off, what's going to be the exposure to medicine? I sit on our admissions committee and have for several years, and admissions committee, it's more of a what have you done for me lately? And if you're going to take a year off, what are you going to do in that year to enhance your application? Now, that's one approach. Many students take a year off before they go to medical school and possibly pursue a post-baccalaureate program. And this is typically to enhance their candidacy. Maybe the GPA is a little low, the MCAT's a little low. There isn't the exposure to medicine that we look for from an admissions committee standpoint, the well-roundedness. So you take a year to improve in that area. Is that me or something else? Okay. They take a year off to improve their candidacy so that when you do apply, it makes you a more competitive applicant. Some students enroll in a post-baccalaureate program during that year off. And there are a couple of ways to look at it. A post-baccalaureate program is fine. There are several good ones around the country. It's a structured way to improve your candidacy. Another alternative method that I talk to students about, you can accomplish the same thing by taking upper division undergraduate courses or graduate level courses. The key here is to take more than one course at a time. Because if you only take one course, what that says to an admissions committee is that you're fine in terms of putting all of your energy into one course. But you want to simulate what you might expect in medical school. That's 2 or 3 courses at a time. If you do well in those courses, that says to an admissions committee, it signals to them that you can do fine in multiple courses. So these are, I guess, some of the things you need to look at in terms of taking a year off before you apply to medical school.
Thank you. Dr. Hisarodi, what makes a great letter of recommendation?
A great letter of recommendation, I think, probably comes from someone who really knows you, not someone who, you identified as, this person is somebody maybe high up in the echelon of the profession, and you think, well, I'm going to tag it along with this person for a week or two, and then at the end ask them for a letter. Really, we look for letters from people who have spent time with you, who have worked with you in such a way that they get to know who you are, and probably more importantly, know how you respond to some of the challenges of your life. And so, it's really easy when you're reading these letters to be able to pick out the person who spent very little time with you, and that's very obvious when we get somebody who actually knows you and has seen you and has some thought about what you're capable of. The other aspect is that, we also take in consideration, who this person is relative to what they do. So there are a lot of people who will write you a letter. Let's say a basic scientist will write you a letter, but they really don't know exactly what it means for you to become a physician. That process is one that they have not gone through personally. Whereas if you've worked with a physician over a period of time and shadowed them and really got to understand, what they do as well as they got to understand you, they know what it means to go through this process, and they know exactly where you are right now. And those people, when they write you a letter that it's meaningful, it comes out. And so, a letter really that has some weight for at least our admissions committee is from somebody who really has spent time with you and probably knows your challenges as well as your weaknesses, because we all have them, and the secret is to know what they are and know how to address them.
Thank you. Dr. Hall, if I'm not accepted at your medical school, should I apply again the following year, and what can I do during that time?
That's a great question. Really, it depends on why you weren't accepted. So my answer is going to be depending on what you were, your deficiency may have been or may not have been. We have over 6,500 applicants to our medical school every year, and we probably interview on the order of about 700 of those applicants. Every one of those 700 is probably most likely a qualified candidate, and we only have 132 spots to offer. So if you're one of those candidates who probably just didn't get in because you were just below a certain level and you had all the credentials, maybe there's not much that you need to do in that situation. Maybe your best bet is to actually do some community service work or work at a job that's related in the medical profession area. Or something of that nature, and then there's not that much you have to do. However, if you fall into a category where your credentials, your qualifications may not have been up to snuff, then it's probably good to get some counseling first to find out exactly what it is that you need the most help in. We have a reapplication program at our school in which we actually take in candidates who are from disadvantaged backgrounds, and we actually sit down and counsel each one of those applicants in that program to tailor a study program or a activity program that will help them become a more competitive applicant. And I can tell you from my experience in that program that the kinds of things that they need to do vary from candidate to candidate. Some people need a stronger science GPA, and therefore we'll recommend more coursework. Other people need maybe more clinical experience, and so that will be our recommendation for them. Some people need MCAT preparation work, and they maybe need to have that kind of done. We've discovered students who have actually learning disabilities, and so we recommend that they get counseling for that and maybe some evaluation with regard to their abilities to participate. So there are a number of different things that come into play when we make a recommendation for a student that way, and it really is an individualized process. So the short answer is yes, you can apply again, and we don't look negatively on people who apply again. In fact, many students get in the second time they do apply, hopefully because they have improved their competitiveness or their credentials in some fashion.
Thank you. Dr. Hydoyle, what are the differences when reviewing applications belong to transfer students versus traditional four-year students?
So transfer students from a community college or something like that?
Yes.
The differences in review of application probably focuses on the emphasis placed on the particular school where the grades were gotten. I'm very positive about people transferring from community colleges because in California that's where the majority of people of color and people of lower socioeconomic income status come from. That's where they begin. If you come from a bad high school, if you come from a bad school experience, you're going to start community college, and then you're going to work hard. And we're going through a time where students can only get one class a semester. That's really terrible, but it's going to take you a longer time. So we don't care as much about time. We are looking for quality when we're looking for the work that you do. Because I think it's a student who can show perseverance. I think it's a person who can show a commitment and a focus that comes with that transfer that I think is very important. And I think that adds to a richening of the medical school classes because oftentimes, or when I started, not as long ago as Dr. Rauch, but I started about 32, 34 years ago working with medical students. And we would focus very much on people who were coming from the elite schools. And now we broaden that because we need, as in California, we need people who understand community. And oftentimes people coming from some of the other schools don't have that commitment and don't have that range of experience. UC Davis, by the way, has the oldest and some of the best community college, or not community college, but community clinics in the country. And so I think the opportunity to take part in those is a huge part of what enriches a candidate who's coming as a transfer student.
Thank you. Let's give a round of applause for our speakers.